皆さん撮影クルーの人たちと一緒に、国境の壁を回っております。で今休憩でガソリンスタンドに寄ってトイレ休憩なんですけど、面白いものを見つけました。何を売ってるかというとディアコーン、鹿の餌です。値段が書いてあって、でこれが鹿の餌やりみたいです。これオールシーズンズフィーダーズって書いてます。はい、こんな感じです。今回はテキサス州の中のケニー郡というところの保安官の方にインタビューをすることができました。今からそのインタビュー動画をご覧いただきたいと思いますが、その前に保安官、シェリフとは何なのかをちょっとだけお話ししたいと思います。アメリカではいろいろ今回の取材を通して、そもそものアメリカの国の起こりというものが憲法であったりだとかいろんなところに反映されているというのがより分かりました。でその一つが保安官です。アメリカを説明するときにこっちの人たちは、自由の国、自由を勝ち取るためにっていうふうに言うわけなんですけれども、つまり政治を司る人、例えば、王様だとかあるいは政府とかを基本的に悪というふうに見なすわけですよ。だから必要最小限にとどめるべきであると。で権力の分散を図ったりだとかいうわけで、独裁をしないような社会を作るっていうことで出来上がっているんですけれども、その権力の暴走装置としての一つの存在がこの保安官です。保安官はシェリフっていう風に言うんですが、簡単に言えば選挙でもって選ばれる警察官なんですよ。この郡、なんとか郡なんとか郡っていろいろ州の中に地区があるわけなんですけど、そこの郡で投票をして、そしてこの保安官を選ぶ。でこの保安官は逮捕する権利とかもありますし、警察よりも実は大統領よりもこの地区に関しては権力が大きい存在なんですよ。だから政府が暴走した時に最後の砦としてこの地元の自分たちで選んだ保安官が自分たちのこの地元の意思でもって政治を行う。今回のインタビューの話の中でもあったんですけれども、早い話、もし今の政府が暴走して、そして FBI なんかが暴走していろいろやりだしたら、地元の人たちは我が身を守るために保安官に自分たちの地区から FBI を追っ払うとかですね、そういうことも可能なんだっていうふうに話し合いをするぐらいなんですね。その保安官が、テキサスとの国境の沿いにある郡なので、保安官の立場で不法に侵入してくる移民たちにどういう対処をしているのか、実態をお話聞かせていただきました。
Are you from around here?
I grew up in Del Rio. Moved over here with the Border Patrol in 1985 and never left. But what we have, you've been to Del Rio, Acuna that sits on the other side of Del Rio. We've got a large city here of about 33,000. The majority of the illegal alien traffic that enters Del Rio, contrary to popular belief, they don't go north, they go east, because San Antonio sits to our east. That's the major transfer hub. That's where all the transportation goes, the highways, the railroad. So their goal is to get to San Antonio. So the foot traffic all walks east. If they're going to be smuggled, the majority of them have to come through Kenny County. That's where we're getting hit so hard. They leave Del Rio and they'll travel 90 and they'll try to go up the northern roads, which are not as well covered as Highway 90. Plus, we do have an immigration checkpoint over towards Uvalde, so that deters them to try to circumvent by going north around us. And it's nonstop. Every day, if it's not us, it's DPS. Catching smugglers or having a pursuit. It's like, how many are we going to have today? What's going to happen today? The ones that are walking through, remember when the Haitians came, and you can't tell me that was just a whim. That 13,000 Haitians got together and they're going to come to Del Rio. That's been planned. Well, that took every resource Valverde County had, Border Patrol. I even sent guys over there to help out. It left everything else wide open. And what's not turning themselves in to be processed, we need asylum, are the criminals. And we're talking people with major criminal histories, murderers, rapists, thieves, dope dealers, whatever, are the ones that are walking cross country. So those are the ones that I take interest in because they're cutting the fences, they're stealing the cars. In a nutshell, Kenny County has no industry. At one time, we were the mecca for wool and mohair. We had more sheep than here, Val Verde County, Edwards County, which is north, literally ruled the world. We had vendors coming in from all over Europe, Northern Africa to check to buy our wool and mohair. Well, since that industry kind of died out, we've got nothing except the ranchers. We have the movie industry, the Alamo, Lonesome Dove, The Gambler, etc. We're all filmed here. That industry is shut down. So if the hunters go away, we got nothing. So we have to find a way to deter the migrants from walking through here and cutting fences and destroying property. And by arresting them and putting them in jail and charging them with criminal trespass, I'm hoping, and it'll take some time to trickle down, I'm hoping that it will deter them someplace else. I hate to say it that way. I hate to say, well, I'm going to push them back to Val Verde because now it makes give the sheriff over there a harder time. Or if I push them south to Maverick County, gives the sheriff down there a harder time. But I have to protect my community. I have to protect the ranchers, the landowners, the hunters. I have to protect all of them. And that's the only way I know how to do it effectively, is to make it less desirable for them to come through here.
Gotta plug the holes.
Gotta plug the hole. And so far, since we started all this in early August, we've processed about 1,900 for criminal trespass. And out of the 1,900 that us and DPS have picked up in that capacity, it's probably just to tip the iceberg. I mean, we get reports 20 here, 15 that we can't respond to because of the vast numbers. It's kind of like trying to build your line, your defensive line there. You know, you've got your outposts and everything looking, but you can only stop so many when there's 1,000 of them running at you. So it just hit them when we can, and hard as we can. So, any questions?
Thank you very much. And earlier outside you were talking about what's happening to the local people. Could you please explain it a little bit?
Of course, with the population of Kenny County, there's about 300 to 400 people that actually live out on their ranches. So when they go to bed at night, they don't know if there's going to be somebody knocking at their door at 2 o'clock in the morning. They don't know if their fences are going to be cut, if their vehicles are going to be stolen. They go out to the barn, they don't know what to expect because of the volume of people. It's really kind of hard to explain unless you've actually seen it or lived it. Trying to tell somebody up in Chicago what's happening, they really don't have a grasp because they're busy with their own issues up there. Philadelphia, Dallas, Fort Worth, the same thing. But they're in the whole realm of the agricultural world. When the people are walking across country, they're scaring the animals, they're destroying livestock, they're tearing up windmills, they're destroying water lines, which are all essential for your livestock, whether it be sheep, goats, deer, or your hunting industry. It takes away from the things they're supposed to be doing because they have to go out and check. They have to fix this, and you can only absorb that loss for so long before you either you go out of business or you get fed up with it and sell. And if it sells, the thing that bothers me is who's going to buy the property. Trying to keep everything in check. And some people are scared to death. No, let me rephrase it. They're not scared to death. They're just worried that when we go outside, what are we going to encounter? My son-in-law, their property, they've got 3,000 acres. And him and his brother and sister, they had the run of the property. They just went out there and did whatever they wanted to do. Got on a horse or cut across, went to the far back pasture. No worries. This day and age, they're not letting their kids out of their sight. Whether they're 4 years old or 14 years old. They're not letting them out of their sight because they don't know what's walking across their property.
Wow.
So, err on the side of caution.
And one more quick question.
Sure.
In Japan, we don't have the system of protecting the country like here in the United States. We have only police and we don't have sheriff. Could you please explain in terms of protecting the country or your county from migrants? You have federal government and you have city or county and you have police, military and sheriff.
Right.
And in this circumstance, the sheriff's role.
Okay. And of course, in the United States, we have the federal jurisdiction, we have state, and then local. The primary job of the federal government is to protect the citizens. That's the number one thing. And part of their job is to protect the southern border, to keep people from entering into the country illegally. Now, when the federal government can't do their job, it falls upon the state and the sheriffs to do the job for them. And right now we feel like the Biden administration isn't doing that job, so it's coming upon me to protect my citizens. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're like a police department.
Like police department.
But I'm elected. I'm not appointed. Mm-hmm. So basically, I work for the people. I don't work for the county judge. I don't work for any entity. I work for the people of Kinney County. And they rely on me to try to keep them safe. Mm-hmm. So it's up to me to try to push this invasion. I'm going to use the word invasion because we're seeing so many people walk through here. It's basically up to me and my 6 deputies to try to stem that and push them elsewhere. The Department of Public Safety, which is a state agency, they are the state police. They're here assisting, and we're doing everything we can. Mm-hmm. Now, the private citizens in the United States, they do have a where they can protect themselves, and a lot of them are doing it. You know, they're carrying their guns just to make sure. They are protecting their houses. They're patrolling their fence lines, checking for damages and stuff, and they are encountering people. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of not a standoff, but they just tell the people that they see, hurry up and get off my property. Or if they don't, we go out there and arrest them and charge them for criminal trespassing because they don't have permission to be on the property.
Oh, so sheriff is the last line to protect the local town.
Actually, we're the first and the last line.
First and last.
Like I said, my primary job is to protect the citizens of my county. When it comes down to it, I actually have more power than the president because I work for the people. And if they tell me, well, we need you to do this, well, then that's my obligation. I don't have a cabinet. I don't handpick. I hire deputies. And our primary job is to protect the courthouse, run the jail, and protect the people of the county. Mm. So I don't work for the governor. I don't work for the president. I don't work for anybody other than the people of Kinney County. Mm. So that's the big difference between the state, federal, and local law enforcement. Now, a police department, the police chief works for the mayor. But me, since I am elected, I work for the people, literally.
Mm. Oh.
Your name and your occupation?
My name is Blake Ward, and we're farmers and ranchers and have a heavy equipment business here in Brackettville, Texas.
And you're the son-in-law of the sheriff, you said?
I am lucky enough to be the son-in-law of the sheriff.
Now, I'm curious, you were saying the character of the...
They would walk and they would ask for food and water, and they were very...
Over the years, how has it changed?
Well, whenever we were kids growing up, and several instances, too many to remember, but they would come up to the house and the illegals, and they would come up and have a bottle of water on them, maybe a couple of pieces of bread, and that's all they had. They would walk up and they would ask for food and water, and they were very humble. They were in need, and we wanted to help them. They were looking for work. Their first question was, do you have any work we can do? Fixing fences, digging post holes. They were ready to do anything. The way that it has changed now is whenever we get approached by them, which is a couple times a week, they're very demanding. We need to be fed. We need to charge our phones. You're talking about the ones from back in the day. They had holes in their shoes. Their pants were worn out. They had made a long trek, and they were in need. Nowadays, they're dressed they're dressed nicer than I am. And they've got on brand new shoes, brand new jackets, brand new pants. And everywhere that we cover, we run into the same thing. It's not like there's different illegals crossing here. They're all kind of programmed to say the same things, make the same demands.
So can you give me some examples of the demands you've been asked?
Well, the first thing they want to do is they want to charge your cell phones. So what they'll do whenever they want to charge your cell phones is, in South Texas, instead of running an electric line to a well, we have these things called solar pumps. So the solar panel collects this. Everybody knows how a solar pump works. A panel works, and it charges the pump to feed rural livestock water. Well, they will go through and cut the wires on your solar panel and try and wire their cell phones in. Well, these setups are like $7,500. And what they're doing is they're shorting out the panels, shorting out the pumps, and they're doing a lot of destruction to farmers and ranchers' property. The other demands that they make, We've had several instances where they demand to be fed, and that they should be treated very well, and that they were told by our administration, and I'm going to the presidential level, that we are supposed to take care of them. As Americans, we are supposed to take care of them. And some of the guys that work for me, they're there in their work clothes and they're eating a sandwich, and they're demanding that they take their food from them. I'm like, well, my guys got to eat too. They're working hard. So
there seems like they're more entitled. Is that what you're seeing? They're more entitled. Can you explain this to us?
So I believe that they've gotten word down there, and I've been told in Mexico and on the whole route coming here is that there's billboard signs promoting them to come to America, that this administration will take care of them, and that the U.S. government will take care of them. And so I think that they're coming over here to try and get on the system, so to speak, because what has changed is that the groups that used to come here wanted to work. They would work out in the fields. They'd do whatever. They were ready to do whatever they needed to do to survive. They wanted to be a part of it. And now it's more of the feed me, take care of me.
Are they threatening in any way? I mean, what's the nature of their character in that?
They're usually not too threatening. I never thought that I would have to pack a gun every day on my side, but I have to do that now. Just with that there, I think that it's a security blanket, so to speak. The thing for me is that you can be approached by two, and there'll be 20 more in the brush. And so you never know what's out there. The things that I've witnessed that happen, just to kind of emphasize on what the sheriff and elaborate on it, the cartels have a very strong presence. They are hiring people on this side to aid these illegals. And what I've seen that backs that up is that at my parents, on several occasions, and this has happened to my neighbors, people that I've known all my life, that I fear for their safety, but people will come and dump food over their fences, will dump bottled water over their fences. In one instance, my mother, they have a gate going into their ranch that works on an arm, and it's electric, and coming out at lunchtime, she was trying to get into her house, and they had made a pile of food behind their gate to where you couldn't even open the gate. So my mother would have had to have gotten out of her car, climbed the fence, and cleared the stuff from around the gate to even get in the gate. Pepsis, pizza boxes, they're not hurting for anything. That they're being supplied over here by an organization that is moving them. This is the biggest money-making deal for them right now. Everybody I talk to, DPS troopers, they all say the same thing, that the cartel is profiting off of human trafficking.
You said that there was sort of change from migrants. Could you just give us maybe a more concrete timeline of
When it changed?
Yeah, when did you see it? With years or dates?
Well, everybody said that, whenever Biden got elected, that this all started. We started seeing this in the last year of Trump's term. I don't know if there's anything to that. I don't know on the timeline, but as far as the change in the way that people act, 10 years ago, the illegals did not act this way. It has been in probably the last 5 to 6 years that they've been acting this way, but it's gotten worse in the last 2 to 3 years, I would say, as far as the timeline goes. This year has been chaotic. Our resources are stretched thin. We have 2 ambulances, and at any given time, if an illegal wants to or a smuggler wants to get out of trouble, what they do is they fake an injury and they call the ambulance. So we have a crew that goes out with that ambulance. We have no coverage for our county if that ambulance leaves here. So if I go down with a heart attack right now, there's no one here to care for me. And so this is something that we deal with in small town America that nobody thinks about. Our fire department's the same situation. We try to run on every call with medical whenever it's in the rural county, and it really stretches us thin. And we have loved ones here. We love our community. We support each other, and knowing that asset is not there in our emergency is also another fear of ours.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
私たちはテキサスの 国境付近に来ておりますが、車を通ったところ、道でですね移民たちが捕まっている様子を見かけましたので、今撮影をしております。今警察が捕まえてボーダーパトロールに引き渡しているところです。1人は手錠にさせられています。今ですね動画などを見て現場を見てきました。休憩といいますか、写真をネットに上げたりするためにこのサブウェイにやってきました。このお客さんとかもですね警察の人とか多くて、銃を持ってサンドイッチを買っているような様子がもう当たり前のような風景になっております。